Hey everyone, Adam here. So in this video, I just wanted to do a quick, follow up on kind of my thoughts about minimalism, or as I like to call it, mindful living, and just kind of explain just kind of like what I've learned throughout the last, 3 or 4 years since I've kind of gotten into this. And just kind of share my thoughts about it. Now, I know I sound like a broken record. I really don't like the word minimalism, so I get asked every once in a while, then why do you use that word? And it's because it's probably the word that is, I guess, probably the most relatable, is why I tend to use it. But whenever I do use the word minimalism, I try to follow that up with other expressions that I think better talk about at least what my goals are with it, and that would be kind of mindful living, mindful purchases, and those kinds of words. And I feel like if I led with just like, oh yeah, I'm into mindful living, sometimes people just kind of give me a sideways look like, what's that? And then others just don't really care. Anyway, minimalism, I just use that, I kind of throw around that word just because it seems to click. Okay, so here's a quick update. As I've said before, it still holds true. Minimalism is going to look different for different people. If you are traveling the world in a backpack, minimalism is going to look very, very different than if you have a family of 6 and are living in a big house but are trying to practice minimalism or mindful living. So in the end, I think minimalism is just simply a tool that you can use as you see fit. You may want to employ minimalism with maybe just when you travel. Other areas where maybe you want to just practice minimalism is just in your office space. Or maybe you just want to practice digital minimalism and forget the rest of it. The point is, it's just going to look different depending on what your goals and needs are. And for me personally, this is what I have found as far as minimalism and mindful living is concerned. I don't mind stuff in moderation. There are plenty of items that I have that I actually have more than one of. For example, I have a lot of backpacks. There are different sizes. I use them for different things. One might be good for a day hike, while another might be better suited for traveling. So again, I don't mind having items as long as it has a purpose and I'm actually putting it to use. Another thing I've personally realized is that I never ever want to pay for storage. As soon as I'm paying for storage, that's when I realize, okay, my benchmark for me personally is that at that point I've become a hoarder. So that is one rule that I have set up, is that I never ever want to pay for storage. And for me, I love being organized. And I think that is what really, really draws me to minimalism and the mindful living. For me, I can't stand clutter. It just drives me nuts just seeing clutter. I just really like an organized space. Again, it doesn't have to be necessarily sparse. It just has to be organized and kind of clutter-free. The less chaotic that a room is for me, the better I kind of gravitate towards it. But there's definitely a fine line of going to like, okay, this just has this is just a room with a set of walls. Okay, at that point, then it's gone to the opposite end of the extreme. Yeah, that's minimalist, but it may need a bed because a bed is a great object for me to get some sleep on. So definitely have to balance that. And I think where minimalism really helps me is I don't want to spend a lot of time organizing. So if I can really pare down my things, that's just less things I have to organize and less things I have to take care of. Because again, I really, really like being organized and kind of being clutter-free. And minimalism is a tool that can really, really help towards those goals of mine. And mentally, I just feel much more clear when things are clutter-free, things are organized, things go into the right spot. I know exactly where I need to look at them. Again, minimalism makes the whole process much smoother and easier. And so I guess basically I'm not opposed to stuff as long as it's kind of clutter-free and organized. And in fact, I'm going to do a video, I think, about this in the future, but minimalism itself has downsides, believe it or not. People don't often talk about them, but you can get carried away with minimalism. And in certain aspects, I certainly have, and there is a dark side, I guess, to minimalism that people need to talk about. I've also found out that through this journey with mindful living and minimalism, that a tiny house at my current state of affairs is just simply not for me. I have a family. There's 4 of us in total. And a tiny house, I love my own space. I don't need that space to be filled up with stuff, but I just want like kind of my own area in a house that I can escape to. And the tiny houses are awesome. I really appreciate that movement. But after living in a small apartment in New York City, I quickly realized that for me, I definitely like some space. Again, I don't need it filled up with a whole bunch of crap, but I do like my own kind of area within the house that I can go to and kind of escape all the chaos of kids and family and such. Now, this view certainly may change once my kids get older and they move out, and there's like a little tiny house up on this mountain in Vermont that has great internet speed. And I would probably be all over that. If it's just myself and my wife, depending on how big that space is, I could see myself maybe gravitating towards that lifestyle. And for me, minimalism is a fantastic tool when I travel by air. I do everything on carry-on. This used to not be a thing for me. I would always check in my bags. And once I've kind of made it this rule, like, okay, everything you want to bring fits into this carry-on bag. In a way, it sounds strict, and it is, but it's also been exceedingly liberating because I don't have to worry about checking a bag. I can get it on and off real quick. And just having that basic rule, and you mentally have to figure out like what is really, really essential. To me, just having that basic rule, especially when I travel by air, minimalism has been just fantastic for that. And then on the flip side, if I travel by car, I tend to bring a little bit more stuff. It's not that I necessarily need it, but it's like, okay, so the way I do it is I'll fill up my small backpack and I say, okay, this backpack, this one is going to go in and out of the house with me, wherever I'm traveling, or the hotel if I'm traveling by car. And then I keep like a spare backpack or a spare bag of things that I guess you can think of it as a luxury. But the idea is that if I need it, it's there, but I keep that separated out from my quick bag. And then I just kind of like let it sit in the car because I have a huge trunk. It doesn't take up that much space. And it's like, okay, well, why not? So again, like minimalism is just simply a tool, and there are ways that you can make it work really, really well. But try not to sacrifice your quality of life in the process. So there you go. Minimalism is going to look different for different people, or what I like to call mindful living. I highly encourage you, if you're just starting out with it, figure out what your goals are. What is your why? Why are you interested in decluttering or using some of these tools and techniques? Again, it doesn't have to be in all aspects of your life, but it can be incredibly useful. Should be used to enhance your life, and not necessarily limit it. And the biggest tip I can give, I guess, towards minimalism is just be mindful of what you bring into your life and what you let go of your life. Just know why you're doing it. And if you kind of stick with that basic rule, you'll be okay. As always, thanks for watching, and hopefully you found some parts of this video helpful.